Hey, what's going on, guys? Please come on in and hang out with me today. I have some interesting stuff I want to talk about. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of this topic. Mainly, this topic is interesting to me because it's something that a lot of people are discussing. And one thing I find is that the way people discuss important race issues in media tends to be just not very thoughtful, a little bit superficial. And so, as a person who believes in flash over substance, or substance over flash, rather, I don't believe in flash over substance. I thought I would actually kind of address this issue and kind of help put it into context in a way that might help provide insight for people, with an IQ over 90. The black folks who actually want to figure it out, understand things, as opposed to just react to things, and to be intelligent as opposed to just, sitting around and sort of, just getting mad for whatever reason. So anyway, do this for me as we get started. Make sure you hit the like button, the share button, and all that good stuff before we begin the conversation, because I want to spend a few minutes kind of discussing this. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this whole situation with Megyn Kelly and NBC and all this other stuff. I assume you did. Megyn Kelly is one of the primary personalities on the Today Show, I believe, or I think her show's Live with Megyn Kelly, or it's one of those dumb morning shows. It's one of those corny shows where they get together in the morning and they talk about, makeup and beauty tips and about the kid who won the hamburger eating contest at the local high school, and and what soccer moms are doing for Halloween, and things like that, right? And so anyway, on this show, where they don't typically discuss a lot of deep topics, they don't really dig deep on much of anything. They actually did kind of tap on the issue of race, which I think, honestly, for shows like that, I think is very dangerous territory. I was really surprised that they went into that. And so, so the whole controversy kind of centered around, some comments that Megyn made. And I heard the comments, and I heard, people kind of hit me up and asked me about it. It was about blackface. So Megyn Kelly, who hosts this show on NBC, basically this morning show, this corny morning show, basically, kind of said, look, I don't see what the big deal is about blackface, right? Now, as expected, for logical reasons, the internet, ate her ass up. They went pretty hard. And I kind of watched it all go down. I kind of sat back and thought about it. And so I finally decided that I'm ready to kind of share a few thoughts and a perspective on it that might be helpful. Now, as we begin, do me a quick favor. First of all, I always have to say hi to y'all because I love y'all. Y'all really are like the people that have my back, and I appreciate you, and I support you too. And so I want to say hi to Robert Charlton and Posse Clan and Bethany Collins and Keith Jackson and Ricky Giles and Deanna Moore and Beautiful Forever and My Two Cent and Myrtle Ingram and Nichelle Atkins. I see you on Facebook. Jason Anderson says, Boyce, looking fly, my brother. I need to get my weight right and dress cold. Okay. I'm looking fly. I'm looking good. Well, I tell you what, I did go see my trainer today, and he kicked me in my ass. And I literally told him when I went to get a trainer, they said, what is your goal? I said, I want you to kick me in my ass. I want you to really just make me bleed, make me hurt, put me in some pain, because I learned over time. It took me a long time to figure this out. It took me a long time to figure out that you can't win unless you're ready to go through some hell. You can't get to heaven unless you're ready to go through hell. And so I look forward to hell. I really do. I love being in hell because I know that being in hell means that I'm gonna get my chance in heaven. I'm always willing. In fact, when I was 24 years old, when people would kind of make fun of me because I was in school for so long and trying to get my PhD and doing stuff other my friends weren't doing. A lot of black males were not trying to get PhDs in finance when I was young. I just told them, I said, I want to live my life a few years like nobody else will, so I can spend the rest of my life living like nobody else can. So if you are a person that really wants heaven, then go find your hell and confront that shit. If you really want success, then go find some pain and discomfort and agony and just say, I can do this, I can get through this, because when I get through this, I'm gonna be tough. I guarantee you this, and I'm not going on a rant. Y'all, I know some of y'all give me a hard time about it, but well, if you don't like it, then you can go somewhere else. But really, go ask anybody who is tough, who is wise, who is successful, and ask them, have you ever gone through any tough times? Have you ever just gone through some shit that was so horrible that you never thought it was going to end, and you never thought you were going to ever be able to come out of that, intact? And they're going to say, oh yeah, I got 20 stories like that. And usually the more stories they have about things they had to overcome, typically the more they've had to overcome, the stronger they are, and the better they are, and the more capable they are. So if you want to be strong and capable and successful, put yourself through some shit. Let the world kick you in the ass. And remember, an ass whooping is not a curse. An ass whooping can be a blessing, but you got to turn it into a blessing, right? So I told my trainer, I said, give me ass whoopings on a regular basis. Even if I'm crying like a little bitch, I want you to keep pushing me, because one thing I don't want is I don't want the pain of looking in the mirror and seeing a fat ass. That's more painful than anything you could ever do to me. I don't, no matter how hard you push me, it is more painful for me to be, some fat, slow guy who can't walk and got diabetes and heart disease and is sitting in the hospital and can't do nothing because he didn't make a sacrifice. So that to me is more painful. Losing is more painful than the pain of learning to become a winner. Losing is always more painful than going through the process of becoming a winner. So put yourself through the process so you can get the rewards. Let the world kick you in your ass and be smiling the whole time, because that means God has given you the blessing of a lifetime. The more you're going through, the more you're being blessed. You just must find a way to convert that into your blessing. Okay. So anyway, enough of that. Enough of Pastor Boyce. Let me pull out turn on the organ. Anyway, so so don't forget, hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, take 1 second, hit the thumbs up button, like button, share button, any of those buttons you have. Make sure you do that. What's up, Vicky Dillard? Vicky, love Vicky Dillard, baddest black woman ever. Anyway, so here's the thing. All right, so I was looking at this situation with Megyn Kelly and kind of peeping out people's reactions to what happened. And if you saw Megyn Kelly, I forgot the name of her show. It's one of those stupid morning shows I don't watch. Let me see here. Megyn Kelly show. Her show is called what the hell is that stupid thing called? Well, whatever it is, it's not going to be around for long. They're already reporting that she's on her way out. It's called Today. Wait, 9 a.m. Today show. I don't know what her show's called. Somebody tell me the name of her show, please, because I don't know the name of her show. Anyway, so Megyn Kelly basically on her show, let's call it the corny white woman show. Okay, so on Megyn Kelly's morning show, the corny white woman show, she was basically talking about whatever, doing random chit chat on the show, and the topic of blackface came up, and they were talking about Halloween costumes. One of the many deep topics that they love to address on the corny white woman show, and basically, Megyn just kind of says something, kind of like a dumb blonde sort of comment. Not that all blondes are dumb, but there's a stereotype, right? Today with Megyn Kelly, that's what it's called. Okay, and but she kind of says, well, I don't really see the problem with blackface. It doesn't, I don't understand why it's offensive. Now, of course, the internet, the Twitterverse, black Twitter, white Twitter, some of white Twitter, like pretty much everybody kind of went in on her, right? Pretty hard, straight up, like what are you doing? This is stupid. Like, how the hell do you not know that blackface is offensive? Even with the mediocre, horrifically bad education that we get in public schools, even uneducated people know that blackface, there's just something that's not quite right about it. Most people do. Most, regular people who know how to read or something know this, right? So they kind of went pretty hard on her, and it got to her. I could tell. She came back, a couple of days later and issued a pretty emotional apology. And she was like, and I'm really sorry, and I hope I can learn with you. White woman tears. White woman. In case y'all don't know, white woman tears are magical. White woman tears have little droplets of gold and rainbows in them that make them into like this magical force that can make anything happen, right? So, for example, if you're a white girl and you have a black boyfriend and you want to send him to prison, just go and falsely accuse him of some crime. Like, it doesn't have to actually be rape. It could be like like he made you uncomfortable because he said something, or he grabbed your, he pinched your booty and didn't ask for permission. It doesn't have to be proven. There's no evidence required. You're white. I mean, my God, why would you have to produce evidence? You're white. And produce the magical white woman tears. It's like the little unicorns that shit ice cream and candy drops. Like the white woman tears will make all accountability go away. They're not going to ask you no questions because, my Lord, they don't want to hurt the poor little white woman. And then they're going to send his ass to prison for the next 3,000 years with no evidence whatsoever. So I wish I had white woman tears. If I had white woman tears, I'd be using that shit every day. I'd be using it right now. I don't know, to just like, I don't know, make y'all like want to like go and give me money or something, or whatever. I don't know. Like if I got in trouble, I could just use white woman tears and just get away with it. But anyway. So anyway, just being serious here. So she produces the magical white woman tears, and she ends up, getting emotional and crying on TV, and everybody forgives her, and there's black women that are like, yeah, girl, we love you, girl, we love you, we love you, because black people love to forgive. Like that's how you gain what Dr. Claude Anderson in his books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth. I keep Powernomics by me, like it's like literally one of my Bibles. That they call that meritorious manumission. Meritorious manumission is when black people do things for white people to gain favor with white people. It goes all the way back to slavery. If you were a slave and you ever wanted white people to like you, or wanted white people to hook you up and take good care of you, all you had to do was entertain white people. That's why black entertainers tend to be the most popular people out here. If you go on TV and you see which black people are being put on television and all this other stuff, it's usually the entertainers. If you protect white people, either let them get away with some shit, by forgiving them in advance, like they did with Dylan Roof, and all those little church Negroes were in the courtroom begging for him for forgiveness, like when he just shot up your whole damn church. If you protect them, then you get meritorious manumission. Also, another way you can get meritorious manumission, to this day, it's not a slave concept. It's a modern concept, but we got modern day slaves, just like we had slaves 200 years ago. We got slaves right now. Another way to get meritorious manumission is to sell out a black person, like sell them out, tell on them, like go on TV. If you ever want anybody, there's probably a coon in here watching somewhere right now. There's probably some Negro somewhere that's like, oh, this Boyce Watkins guy, he's just full of it, and I can't. I'm offended by his words. My God, what's wrong with this man? He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous, right? And so if you're that guy and you want to get if you want to be really successful, then go on TV and find people like me and just say, that Boyce Watkins, that guy, I just think is wrong. I think it's wrong, Anderson Cooper, that Negroes like Boyce Watkins and Louis Farrakhan are even out here. They're racist. They're reverse racist. That's what they are. That's what they are. By golly, they're racist, and they're anti-Semitic and blah blah. Like just do that, and then they'll love you. Like they'll literally like give you kisses and money and stuff. Like they'll hook you up. Like just do it. Go ahead, sell me out, man. I'm all right with that. So anyway, so that's meritorious manumission, and that's what black people do. That's what we're wired to want. We're wired to want white people's approval. We need that. Like that's very important for our self-esteem, because we're not born with that, and that's a problem. So anyway, so I was watching her apology, and I was like, okay, this is really interesting. So before I really thought about what I thought, I was like, I wonder what black people are thinking, right? Because here I'm about to sound so contradictory right now. Anybody who watches me on a regular basis, if you're new, just know I'm going to confuse you. I'm going to frustrate you. I'm going to say things that don't make any sense. Just chalk it up to the fact that I'm 47, and when I was 27, I already pretty much had enough education to have a PhD. I was really smart at 27. I've been teaching college students for 5 years when I was 27. Now I'm 20 years older than that, which means I'm 20 years more evolved in my thinking. So my thinking literally sounds like it comes from another planet. So I'm gonna sound really contradictory here, but I want you to bear with me. I was watching the Megyn Kelly thing, right? And I'm hearing this white woman using her magical tears to try to get forgiveness and meritorious manumission for something that she should have known better. She shouldn't have done it. It was crazy. But part of me felt like maybe we can handle this better, right? Maybe we as black people, could have dealt with that in a little bit of a different way. Now let me explain what I mean by that. I'll tell you the truth. I've had a white person say to me in private, they said, hey, Boyce, can you answer something for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. What do you want, Chad? Whatever his name was. He was a white person, so we're gonna call him Chad. And he said, I don't really understand why blackface is offensive. Like, he's like, if I want to dress up as a black person, like, wouldn't I want to put on blackface? And of course, I mean, my first temptation was to slap him and say, of course not, you idiot. But then the second part of me was like, well, wait a minute, Boyce. Chad ain't trying to hurt nobody. In fact, Chad was actually a decent white guy. As far as decent white guys go, you know what I'm talking about. It comes with caveats, but y'all know what I mean. And Chad was really genuinely curious. Like, he was like, I don't understand. And here's the thing. It was in my university. I was in my PhD program. I was surrounded by a bunch of bigots. I mean, finance is a very bigoted kind of profession. The white males are just ridiculous. Just imagine working with a bunch of Donald Trump replicas like every day. It was a horrible place. And so I knew who the racists were around me. I knew who the people around me were that really had an issue with black people, who had a disdain for black people. Chad wasn't one of them. Chad was just a confused white boy who was asking an awkward question and who also had the courage to come to me and just ask me. He didn't come with any sort of arrogance. He didn't come with me saying, well, blackface, I don't know why y'all offended by blackface. That's just stupid. Chad was really like, I don't get it. Like, why is that? Explain that to me. And I explained it to him. And he was like, oh, okay, now I understand. Now I know not to do that. And he had daughters, and he's like, I'll just make sure my daughters never do something like that. Because honestly, I just did not know. And I kind of think, I wondered, I thought about Chad when I saw Megyn. Megyn's probably like Chad's cousin. I guess they're all related or something. And so I saw Megyn Kelly make this remark, and I was like, I wonder if that's like a female Chad, if she's just really asking the question and we're biting her head off for asking a question, right? I'm not big on biting people's heads off for asking a question. What I pay attention to is, how do you react when I give you the answer? Like, so here's an example. If you come to me, here's what a prick does. Here's what like a Bill O'Reilly does, right? If Bill O'Reilly says, well, I don't see what the big deal is with blackface. Blackface is not offensive. It doesn't seem offensive to me. And you say, no, Bill, it is offensive. It's ridiculous. And Bill O'Reilly would come back and say, oh, well, that's just stupid. That's just silly. I don't know why anybody would be offended by that. It doesn't make any sense, right? Now that answer would probably make me didn't want to go ahead and proceed with the slap that I had planned on initially, right? I had to ask a couple questions. Then it's like, should I slap you or not slap you? I would probably continue with that, right? With that process. Megyn didn't seem to react that way. She came back with an apology. She shed her magical white woman tears. I don't know if they were sincere. Maybe she was being fake. I mean, my God, have you seen how much money this lady makes? I think her contract was like 3 years for like $65 million or something. Like 60 something million over 3 years. How many of y'all wouldn't be shedding some magical white woman tears, producing white woman tears for that kind of money, right? So that's big money, right? So you can see like why the tears could be fake. I mean, that kind of money will make you a very good actress. But then again, maybe there's a chance that she was sincere. Maybe there's a chance that she made an honest mistake and she needed to be educated, etc. So I was kind of mixed on it. I was trying to figure out how I felt. I have more to say on Megyn Kelly, but before I get into that, I'm going to actually talk about what the poll results were. We did a poll actually on our social media platform, Blaggenuf, BLAGGENUF. Blaggenuf.com is where we gather as Black people to do Facebook stuff when we're all trying to exodus out of Facebook. We're all trying to just get out of Facebook. We created the Underground Railroad to get away from Mark Zuckerberg and all his tyranny. And so Blaggenuf is our new Facebook that we go to and kind of talk about Black stuff. And nobody gets banned for using a word like coon or whatever it is that they ban you for. They ban you for pretty much everything on Facebook. So if you're a person that's worried about Facebook jail, you just don't like it, you can feel free to join Blaggenuf. But anyway, in the poll results, and I'm gonna pull up the poll results. As I do that, make sure if you're on YouTube, take 1 second right now, please, and hit that thumbs up button. So that more people can see the video. Hit the thumbs up button if you're on Facebook. Share this to your social media page. If you're on Twitter, please retweet the video so that everybody can kind of see this and people can be a part of the conversation. So let me look here and pull up these results while you guys do that. The results of the poll were pretty interesting. Basically, the options that people gave, it wasn't a scientific poll, but we try to give a range of options so that people can kind of express themselves. And then we would look at the comments below as well. The answers that they could have responded with are, so we asked them this. We said, NBC's Megyn Kelly recently stated that she didn't understand why blackface is offensive. How do you think we should respond? And the first answer was, it's an outrage. Such ignorance is unforgivable, right? Just don't forgive her, fuck her. She sucks, whatever. 27% of the respondents said that it's not forgivable, that, it doesn't matter if you didn't know, what they call it, what they say, ignorance is not an excuse for breaking the law or something like that. You know what I'm talking about. So 27% of the respondents said, who cares, man? She's just whack, whatever. 11%. So the second response was, rather than being angry, we should educate her. So it's a little more kumbaya, but also a little more like, okay, let's not get offended yet. Let's just see what she's thinking. 11% of the respondents said we should educate her. And then there was a third response, which was, I don't care what she thinks one way or the other. Like what she thinks just doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? 61%, almost 2/3 of the respondents on Black Enough said they just don't care. And now remember, the people on Black Enough are kind of, they have a strong Black identity. So these are not your typical Negroes in a lot of ways, but they are Black people. And so I thought it was interesting to kind of see what the reactions were. And I was looking at some of the comments, that people made, especially, in our organization for intelligent Black people. It's called the League of Intelligent Black People. I always ask them what they think, because I want to learn too. Maybe sometimes I'm a coon, sometimes I'm wrong, and I want to figure it out. So Michael Powell says, most white people don't like Black people. Let's keep building. So it seems like Michael's opinion is, look, we know they don't like us. It's not important for us to waste our time sitting around reacting to what white people say about us. They don't like us. Maybe a lot of us don't like some of them. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're going to take care of our own, like they're taking care of their own. So let's just do our thing. Who cares what Megyn Kelly thinks? I'm probably in that category. I personally never look for Megyn Kelly to give me my self-esteem. I don't look to her to tell me if being Black is okay. It doesn't matter what she thinks. Maybe I think that being a goofy blonde white woman is not okay. And I don't think she cares about that. So I don't care what you think about me as a Black man. It really does not matter to me at all. The other Melanin Thought says, we don't need to waste our energies on useless mammals such as her. Damn, that sounded kind of rude. So she's a useless mammal. Okay. Well, it is what it is. People can have their opinion on that. And so a lot of people seem to just not give a shit about what other people think. The other thing about Megyn Kelly that I think is really interesting that people have to understand is that when people make comments like this, just like I was telling you that, their intentions matter. As I told you the story about Chad, I looked at Chad's intentions, not so much what he said, but who it was that was actually saying it and what I thought he was actually trying to say. I think with Megyn Kelly, you can do the same thing. Now, here's the thing. Intentions don't necessarily work in Megyn Kelly's favor. Right. On one hand, she did shed the magical white woman tears, and they look pretty sincere. She's a very good. If she was faking, she's a very good actress. If she was being sincere, then the sincerity was compelling. The problem for Megyn Kelly, though, is that, remember, she has a history. Megyn Kelly has a history. Megyn Kelly didn't just pop up out of the blue. She didn't just appear on the scene. Megyn Kelly spent a lot of years working for this network called Fox News. And the reason that Megyn Kelly got that great job at Fox is because she was doing, that great job at NBC. I said Fox. The reason she got that great job at NBC was because she did such a good job representing the very clear and blatant racism of the Fox News network. If y'all recall, there were times where she just arrogantly says in her show, well, for those who don't know, who aren't sure, Santa Claus is white. It doesn't make it a good or a bad thing. It's just true. And Jesus is also white, right? So she's feeding the white Jesus myth, which we know that's not true. The Bible even says Jesus ain't white. But then again, there are also other books that say Jesus might not have even existed. But I'm not going to go into that conversation because I ain't trying to piss off no Christians today. But really, there's a lot of conversation around the whole Jesus idea and whether or not it was utilized to enslave us that I think Black people need to have. So if you are going to be religious, if you are going to do the Jesus thing, then please make sure that you, make sure that you're using it to liberate and not enslave Black people. because a lot of people will use that religion to control Black people. Now somebody's asking, how do you spell Blag enough? You can spell it Blaggenuf. That's Blagg, Blag enough, Blaggenuf. And so here's the thing about Megyn Kelly also that's really interesting, just for those who want to kind of understand or see a perception of her and the words that came out of her mouth and how to contextualize it. Megyn Kelly not only was with Fox and kind of saying these really crazy racist things like they say on Fox, but, you know, Megyn Kelly was just a bad investment for NBC. When NBC hired Megyn Kelly and they paid her all that money, my honest to goodness thought was, who the hell, what dumbass in NBC thinks this is a good idea? That is a terrible investment. Megyn Kelly is not a fit for NBC. Megyn Kelly is not a fit for mainstream television. Megyn Kelly, whoever made, I swear to God, I tell you this, if I'm a shareholder or a board of directors member at NBC, I would go find whoever made that dumbass decision to hire Megyn Kelly and give her $60-something million, and I will get that person fired. And then I will put a foot straight up in their ass. Why? Because Megyn Kelly doesn't work for okie dokie, you know, dumb white woman daily television. She doesn't work for that. She's first of all, she's too racist and extreme, based on her history of Fox. Her brand is built that way. But then secondly, putting her politics to the side, Megyn Kelly is not a person that's good for shallow TV. You know, she's gonna at some point say she's as good for shallow daytime TV as I am. If ABC ever said we're gonna have the Dr. Boyce Watkins morning show for soccer moms to talk about what color kites they're gonna get their kids for the fall season and who's wearing white after Labor Day. Like, if anybody's ever dumb enough to pay me $60 million to host a show like that, I feel sorry for them, because I would probably piss your audience off in the first 30 seconds because I'm gonna be controversial. I don't want to talk about shallow stuff. I want to dig deep. I piss off. Do you know how many people that probably subscribe to my channel that unsubscribe because I offended them at some point? I offend everybody. Shit, half the damn time I offend myself. I offend my mama. Right? Why? Well, because I dig deep and I'm like, what's the truth here? Let's look at this. Let's look at this from all angles. So I honestly think, and you know, when you put aside, you know, the brand of politics that Megyn Kelly has, and I can put that to the side. I don't really care what Fox News people think about me. Megyn Kelly is not a stupid person. She's not a shallow person. She's a person that likes to go deep and dig into the issues. And I think that as Black people, it might actually help us if you can actually admit that somebody who disagrees with you politically doesn't disagree just because they're an idiot. Maybe they're smart, but they just see the world differently from you. Right. And I know that that's hard to say in this environment. It doesn't work in this political environment because we live in an environment where you're trained to dehumanize and to disrespect first and ask questions later. You're trained to look at anybody who has an opinion that you're not comfortable with and say, oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you're a fool. Oh, you should be fired. Oh, you're stupid. And you know what that does when you act like that? That makes you dumber than them. The reason it makes you dumb is because you're not learning and growing by hearing opinions that differ from your own. So if you are a smart person and you really want to grow and you really want to seek the truth, you have to seek one fundamental truth that typically exists in most interactions. And that ugly truth that is hard for us to swallow is that most intelligent people who differ politically, each of them owns some little piece of real estate called the truth. Each of them owns some little element of truth in their analysis that you can actually benefit from. So if you're liberal and you're talking to a conservative and both of y'all have good intentions, both of y'all are smart people, and they say, well, I think abortion's wrong, and you say, no, I think we should have the right to choose, right? Well, maybe there's a merit to both sides of the equation. Right? It's like looking at two sides of a house. If I'm standing on the east side and I say, no, this house is triangular and the angle looks like this and the colors look like that, and you're on the north side of the house and you say, no, it's not triangular. The roof is square and it has and it's actually black and there's tile everywhere. Like, we can sit and argue about it all day. And say, oh, well, you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong. You idiot. You're just a dummy. Who the hell thinks that a triangular roof is square? Everybody knows that it's triangular. No, all your friends know it's triangular because they're looking at the building from the same angle as you. All your friends, you think that they're crazy because you have wrapped yourself in a reality where everybody is engaged in groupthink. Everybody thinks like you. Everybody agrees with you. So when you are wrapped around people who all agree with you, then you can't even understand why somebody would ever disagree with you or ever see the world differently from you. That is the easiest way to become a closed-minded idiot asshole that I can think of. If you ever want to be a closed-minded person and a dummy and remain small-minded for life, just sit around a bunch of people who do nothing but validate and confirm everything that you believe. You know, that's not going to take you anywhere. But if you really want to learn, it's how to support your own point of view and really make your voice heard. Sit and listen to people that disagree and find the elements of truth in what they're saying, and then find a way that your perspective still adds value to what's going on, you know. And I think at that point, then, like, so for example, you know, I listen to mumble rap sometimes. It really hurts, makes my head kind of swell, like my brain starts swelling and bleeding when I listen to mumble rap. And I start to like, I'm worried like I'm gonna have like seizures and convulsions from that retarded shit. I hate that shit. It drives me crazy. Like I'm sitting here thinking, like, why the hell would you make a song where you're high on Molly and every single word is shoot him in the head, hit that pussy, I kill niggas today, like really, it's the craziest thing. Like, I do not understand mumble rap. I hate the fact that it exists. It drives me crazy. But you know, when I calm myself down, I will listen in more detail to try to understand where the minds of young people are, right? I'll listen to try to understand in detail where the brilliance of this mumble rapper might actually be. It's hard for, I'm not a guy, it's not easy for me to admit that a guy like Young Thug could actually be a brilliant musical artist. I think Young Thug is weird. He looks very strange. I don't know if he's a man or a woman. He's gay, but says he's straight. He's probably, you know, he could easily die before 25, or 30. Like, this guy literally is like the epitome of the worst nightmare for any black man who wants to build a community. But at the same time, there's something that has to be sort of done for me to understand where he's coming from, so I can make sure that my point of view is injected into the conversation too, where I can say, okay, we know the mumble rap, you like, I know why you like it. You like it because it sounds good and it's fun, and it lets you feel good because you're about to go to the party. And also it's written at a cadence that sounds just like nursery rhymes that you heard when you were 5 years old. And what happens is, as adults, we still like the same stuff we liked when we were 5. That's why a lot of hip hop songs, if you listen to the beats and the way they play, they sound a lot like nursery rhymes. Like, you know, literally, even back in the day, DMX used to do that. He had that song, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me go all out up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me act a fool up in here, up in here. Y'all remember that? Well, I was like, oh, Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, right? It really sounded like a nursery. It was like, oh, that's a nursery rhyme. But they just threw some gangster shit on top of the nursery rhyme. And people think that we think we've evolved. We think we're all smart, but really we're just little 5-year-olds dressed up in grown people's bodies, right? And so you just got to throw in the obvious stuff, right? You got to throw in some irresponsible sex. You got to throw in some black genocide, you know, like I'm gonna go kill some niggas today. You got to throw in like some economic retardation, like I'm gonna go give all my money away to white people and buy a bunch of jewelry and clothes and shoes so I can be broke later on, you know, and whatever it is, right? And then you add all that in and make it look cool, and then suddenly you got a hit. That's all it is. So okay, so it makes sense, you know. So once I understand that, it allows me to then come back and say, okay, I see this, and I see that. But also, do you see this, and see that? Do you see what genocidal messages put on top of a relaxing beat can do to the subconscious mind in terms of getting you to hate yourself and to hate your brother enough that you are actually happy when you see black people die? And do you understand the contradiction between you promoting messages that literally are coming from black, white, and Jewish owned record labels? You're promoting these messages of mass black extermination on one hand, so you're celebrating your death on one hand. And do you understand the contradiction between celebrating your death in your music, but yet at the same time complaining when a police officer comes and shoots a black person, right? You understand that that's a little bit of a contradiction that that you're saying Black Lives Matter, but in your music, you're saying Black Lives don't matter because you're singing and dancing to a beat in which you're celebrating deaths of young Black people, right? So when you can do that, it allows you to see the whole building from 360, so you can kind of make sure that your voice is heard for the people that need to hear that, right? So anyway, with Megyn Kelly, that's kind of what happened. I was like, okay, Megyn Kelly's not a dumb person. Megyn Kelly is probably, I guess as far as racists go, yeah, she was in line with Fox News. Yeah, she doesn't like Black people in certain ways. Yeah, she was a bad investment for NBC. Do I think that she was genuinely sorry? I think it's possible. I think that she really might have genuinely made a mistake. I think the mistake could have been genuine. I think the apology could have been sincere, but sometimes people are more sincere in their apologies when you put their ass to the wall, right? Like you kick them in the ass and you really go in on them, then they become more sincere, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But maybe if they hadn't got caught and challenged and pushed, they never would have apologized, right? Just like a little kid saying, Mommy, I'm really, really sorry for what I did yesterday. Sometimes they do it because they're genuinely feeling guilty, but then sometimes they're doing it because they got caught and they know they might be about to get that ass whooped, get that phone taken away, get locked up in their room for the next month or whatever. So the fear of the punishment or whatever the reaction to the punishment is what drives the apology more so than just the genuine remorse for what they did. Some people ain't really sorry. Some people are just sorry they got caught. I mean, let's just be clear about that. I think that she's sorry that she got called out. I think that if there had not been the reaction that happened on the internet, I don't think Megyn Kelly would have apologized. So let me just make that clear. I don't think she would have apologized if it hadn't happened the way that it did. What's going on, Jade? I see Jade and Bianca Blanco in here. Bianca is a hair expert, and I saw her at the All Black National Convention. Jade was at the convention too, and Jade is actually in Brooklyn on the ground dealing with that whole case with that little Black boy that got falsely accused by the white woman. Y'all know that the crazy white woman who called the police and said I've been sexually assaulted because a little Black boy grabbed my ass. And then first the news story is that that he says I do not forgive this lady. What she did was wrong. Blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, like, his mother is on TV saying I forgive. Again, Meritorious manumission, right? Earning her props from some powerful white folks, who I guess who maybe they said something, maybe they got to her, said something behind closed doors or whatever. But she comes out and she's suddenly all forgiving. She's suddenly letting this lady off the hook. And I got mad at the mom for doing that, because what you're doing is you're letting a predator go loose. You're letting a predator go free. Just so the same way y'all might get mad at a woman who says, yeah, the man raped me, but I don't want no harm to go to him. I want him to be okay. I want R. Kelly to just go on and keep making music because I don't want to mess up his career. Well, maybe that's not the best approach, right? Maybe you need to check his ass so that he can't hurt anybody else. So I was upset with the mom, because the mom, by forgiving the woman who had falsely accused her son of being a sexual predator, already traumatized this little boy, have him going through life wondering if he really is a rapist or a predator or whatever. This mom, by doing that, by forgiving her for her own whatever reason she had, maybe she's that stupid. I don't believe she's that stupid. I believe it becomes political after a certain point. I believe that in Brooklyn, which I love Brooklyn, I have so many people in Brooklyn that show up when I come to Brooklyn. So big shout out to everybody there. I love you so much. But I think that the politics gets involved, and suddenly next thing you know, for whatever reason, we're going on this Kumbaya forgiveness tour that was taught to us by our slave masters 200-300 years ago. And I personally think that's when we have to step up and check her and say, okay, you can do this if you want to. You can go earn your meritorious manumission if you want to. You can go kiss some white ass if you want to. Maybe that's going to help you keep your job. Maybe that's going to help get you some friends. Maybe it's going to put some money in your pocket. But we will fuck you up because you're letting a predator on the loose in our community. You're letting this woman go through life without any punishment for what she did. And we know for a fact that with your son, and she was going to ruin his life. She would have been happy to see your son go to prison and get raped 10,000 times. And she's also going to do that to somebody else's son. So because she's going to do that to somebody else's son, we're going to stop you in your tracks right now, because this ain't about you. But right now you're about to be collateral damage in the battle against white supremacy, because you're the slave sitting on master's porch with the broom fighting off the slave revolt. We're trying to stand up. We're trying to build something. We're trying to move ahead. We're trying to confront some issues. And here you are using your voice and doing this Rodney King we all get along bullshit. Y'all remember when Rodney did that, when Rodney went on there and he's like, I just want to say, can't we all just get along? Like, they're like, get the hell up out of here with that stuff. Shut up, idiot. Shut up. Like, this was about you, but now it ain't about you no more. We're not paying any attention to you. You have given up your right to be a spokesperson because you're no longer an authentic leader of this movement at this point. So I think that we got to know the difference between Black people that are really still connected to the issue and really trying to do what needs to be done versus those who have kind of been co-opted or bought and paid for or pushing us on some weird agenda that doesn't make any sense. And it's up to the individual to make that decision. But I think it's important to be critical in your thinking because there are many, many people that have a very strong interest in controlling the minds of Black people. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, do this for me real quick. If you're on social media, please take 1 second, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, hit the share button. YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button so that we can get more people on the video. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can get it totally for free. It won't cost you anything. Go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Also, if you, I told you guys I was in China for the last 2 weeks. And I did a big tour of China. I went to China and I bought a lot of cool stuff like this little statue. They tried to sell it to me in jade. Jade is apparently this stone I know nothing about that is expensive as shit. And they tried to sell it to me in jade and they were like, it'll be $2,000. And of course I gave them the middle finger, but I found something similar to it that was made of something else that I don't think this is wood. Maybe it's wood. I don't know. I'm not sophisticated at these things, but I just thought it was cool and I really liked it. So I got this. And I also got this, I don't know who this random Chinese man is, but I really like this statue and I like it. It makes me think about like an emperor or a strong man who's like, he looks like he's like the king of some, like he's got his beard. He's like holding his beard, like he'll just like have your head chopped off if you upset him or hurt his children or try to holler at his woman. So I kind of like that. Like that's just me. I just kind of resonate with that masculine energy a little bit. And I think as a Black man, it's just so important for us because, you live in a world where as Black men, we're kind of, people are trying to push us to stay as weak little boys. They're pushing us to be timid, very feminine, not very proactive. We're trained to be reactive and to just sort of sit back and be very, very, like quieting to cry and everything else. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like that. In fact, Malcolm X, when Malcolm X got killed, they interviewed one of his bodyguards and the bodyguard was talking about what it was like watching Malcolm die on the stage. He was talking about, he was right there when the guy was like, nigga, get your hand out of my pocket. And somebody got up and went up and shot Malcolm on stage. And they asked him, they said, what was it like when Malcolm died? And he started crying. And they said, why are you crying? And he said, well, because Malcolm allowed you to be somebody. He said, Malcolm helped us to feel like men. He said, in America, they just want you to stay as a little boy. And so as a Black man from the South, I saw that. I saw people trying to, every time I felt the desire to be assertive and to be a go-getter, I would be punished for that. When I was in elementary school, starting when I was in school, I'm talking about kindergarten. That's how deep it is. I'm talking about kindergarten. My mama said that this white lady that taught me when I was in kindergarten, she was a young, like kind of a liberal white lady. And so she kind of understood Black kids more than most white women do. And she said, your son, he keeps on, he kept on getting up and sitting down and standing up and sitting down and he wouldn't behave. And she said, so I decided I wanted to teach him a lesson. And she said, so I just let him keep doing what he was doing. He was getting up, standing up, sitting down, walking around the classroom, talking to people and all that. And she said, so I just kept teaching and I was going to embarrass him by asking him to repeat everything that I had just put on the board. And she said, so I stopped him and I said, okay, Boyce, tell me what I just taught everybody on the board. And she said, do you know that he repeated every single thing that I said to the kids? He knew the lesson better than the kids who were paying attention. So what she said was, she said, look, you need to understand that. She said, your son is very bright. And she said, but he is he's gonna get in trouble. He doesn't necessarily like the structure. He doesn't necessarily like being told what to do. So he's gonna get a lot of problems in the public school system and how they train Black boys. She said they're also gonna try to put him on medication to calm him down, to minimize him, to weaken him, right? That's what that medication does. It takes your son who's vigorous and energetic and ambitious, and it turns him into a feeble little brain dead zombie so he can sit still and shut up and pretend like he's learning, even though he ain't learning nothing. He gonna come out of high school, can't even read and shit, but he's well behaved, and that's all they really need. They need you to be docile, like in a mental institution, in an insane asylum, when they inject you with a needle to sedate you. Or like they do an animal, when an animal's out of control and being too energetic, they what do? They inject him with some horse tranquilizer or something, so that he'll sit down and be quiet and calm, so they can control him and tame him and train him, right? And so she said that they're going to try to put him on medication. She said there's nothing wrong with your son. She said do not let them put him on medication. Do not let them put him in special ed. And I'll be damned if years later that did not happen. If they did not come to my mother with some fancy charts and graphs and say, Mrs. Watkins, these are the regular children, and here's your son way over here and on Mars. Like, I've been weird for a very long time. I'm still weird. I still get in trouble. I still say things that if I was working, that's why I knew I couldn't work for white people. If I was still in some corporation saying the things I say, operating in the way I operate, there is no way on earth I would have that job. And I got all the credentials in the world, all the education in the world. I got everything you need to be qualified for the job, but I would not be able to keep it because I don't know how to behave. I'm not interested in behaving. I learned a long time ago that great people are not well behaved typically. Great people in history are rarely well behaved. Understand that. Great women in history are rarely well behaved. Great black men in history are rarely well behaved. Great black people, period, in history have almost never been well behaved. They've been the ones who got shot up, sent to jail, fired on their day off, whatever, put in certain categories, castigated, marginalized, ostracized, attacked. So sometimes your child is acting out because that's the greatness that God gave that little boy, and the world is going to spend all of its energy trying to put him in chains so he does not become a threat to the system. You understand? So I'm telling you all this story so that some of you who have kids, some of y'all got sons and daughters that are going through this right now. Some of y'all got children that are really getting it every day. And I'm not saying that, that bad kids don't exist. I'm not saying that discipline isn't necessary. Some of y'all's kids might be little assholes. I'm not here to say that that's not possible, but I will say that there are millions of young black people who have all the potential in the world, all the ambition in the world, all the ability in the world, and it's being killed because we have people that are incentivized to put a pill in their mouth to get them to sit down and shut up and be quiet. And then they live that way for the rest of their lives. And then the next thing you know, you got all these men out here that don't know nothing about how to be no man. They don't know nothing about how to be free. They don't know nothing about how to be strong. They run through their lives constantly being reactive and scared and intimidated and insecure, and they aren't able to really tap into their potential. So the main point to walk away with on that is that it's not you. It is the system. The system is what's fucked up. It's not you. You're not perfect. None of us is perfect. But if you measure, if you have a scale, like the fucked upness of the system on one side and the fucked upness of you on the other side, then this side of the scale will be way down to the ground, and this side will just go down a little bit. You're not perfect. Everybody got issues. I know I do. There's times where I do stuff and I'm like, man, I didn't even try hard enough, or I didn't do that right, or I screwed that up, and it happens. But the system is what is consistently designed in such a way that we disrespect and marginalize the wrong people. We punish the wrong people. You got all different kinds of things, everything from the criminal justice system and false accusations and terrible things that happen to black people, disparate sentencing, all kinds of crap, things where people get labeled. They do something, the same thing a white person does, and they go to prison for 30 years. The white person gets away scot-free, but you got to go through your life labeled as a convict. Like there's so many examples of that out here that, I don't want you to go through life feeling afraid to be who you are just because you're not perfect. Because believe me, when you are black and you are outspoken, somebody's going to point out one of your imperfections. And the reality is that sometimes they might actually be right. And so my opinion is, like, if you tell me like, well, Boyce Watkins could be doing well for him, so he's a pretty smart guy, he has a lot of education, he could have a great job at white man university if he would just learn how to tone it down and not talk about race so much and not be so bombastic and not cuss all the time. And you could say all these things. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I am kind of crazy and I do run my mouth a lot and I offend people and I cuss too much, and all those things are probably right. But I'm not going to focus on that right now. I'm going to focus on how fucked up you are, and I'm going to tell you about yourself, because I learned a long time ago that the best defense is a good offense. And that means that before you start pointing the spotlight on me and telling me everything about me that's not perfect, because some of that might be true, I'm going to put the spotlight on you, and I need you to defend things that are indefensible. I need you to explain to me why your corporation you somehow think that you don't need to hire any black people. Explain to me why, you have 100 managers in your company and only 2 of them are black. Like, that's inexcusable. Like, that's almost like a KKK level hiring record. At Harvard University, there was a lady that Barack Obama actually appointed to the Supreme Court, Elena Kagan. Elena Kagan taught at Harvard University for 6 years. She was the dean. For 6 years as the dean, she hired 32 people. 30 of them were white males. 1 was a white woman and 1 was an Asian man. Literally 32 hires that she did in 6 years. Not one of them was black. Not one of them was Latino. Not one of them was Native American. And despite the fact that this woman literally had a hiring record that literally could not have been worse if she had been David Duke, if she had been a member of the KKK, because you can't get lower than 0. Despite all that, black people are still told that, oh, we should support her because she's going to represent our interests. How are you going to represent our interests when you don't even want to give a black person a job? Like, you don't even think that there's one black person on earth qualified to teach at the Harvard Law School. Like, seriously, is that the best options that black people get? Is that our best option out here? That literally our savior, our hero, our greatest hope is a white lady who doesn't believe in hiring black people no matter how qualified they are. If that's your best option, then I feel sorry for you. Seriously, that's really, really bad. That's like the LA Lakers saying, like, our best option, for the basketball team is the little fat guy who's 5 feet tall. Like that doesn't make any sense, So anyway, I went off on a tangent. We were talking about Megyn Kelly earlier and the racism thing, but y'all see how it's all connected. It's all connected in the sense that I think that there are ways to look at race that are empowering, and there are ways to look at racism that are disempowering. We are trained to look at racism from an extremely disempowered standpoint. We are trained to see racism in a way where we define ourselves as victims. We're trained to look at racism in a way where we're looking for white folks to like us. We think that the key to our salvation, the key to our future and our freedom is to get enough white people to like us, get a critical mass of white people to like us. That's what the Negro representatives on TV are trying to do. Get enough white people to like us that they don't treat us like complete shit. They only treat us like partial shit. So they're the ones who come to us with these nonsense, offers like, well, we know that this politician is garbage. We know that he's been racist and he said horrible things about black people, but he's the best option you have. And we're trying to really try to find a reason to be optimistic about that. We're trying to find a reason to be optimistic about something where there's nothing to be optimistic about. Like, you're hungry, you're starving to death, you're on the street, and I bring you a plate of rotten eggs and dog shit, and I say, look, this is better than nothing. Just go ahead. We made this food for you, and you're supposed to be excited about that. Nobody can be excited about rotten eggs and dog shit. You wonder why black people are depressed. The reason a lot of us are depressed is because all the answers that are presented to us in terms of how to confront this racism thing are about the most depressing, disempowering sacks of bullshit that a person could ever be offered. Like literally, how can you ever be excited about life when the best hope that you have for the future is the hope that somehow these white folks who hate your guts are going to one day wake up and decide that they like you enough to help you feed your family or to help you feel good about yourself? Like, you can get out of my face with that stuff. I don't want that. I don't want to ride the slow, broken bus. I would rather walk. If you tell me, well, Boyce, this bus is hot and it's broken, it breaks down every 2 feet, and there's also little midgets on the bus with iron penises who are going to rape you while you're in your seat. Like I'll be like, you know what? Thank you. but I'm gonna walk. I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna build a bike. I'm gonna go build me a little bike, and I might be riding my little bike, and you might make fun of me on my little bike, but guess what, goddamn, I'm gonna be pedaling down that street, and I'm gonna feel good about myself because I'm moving under my own power. I'm not waiting for the broken down bus with that's overheated, that breaks down every 2 feet, that has the little midgets on the bus ready to rape me when I sit in my seat. Seriously. And so, so basically for Black folks, I think that at the end of the day, the goal is for us to find ways to be empowered in this environment. Empowerment in this environment, in my opinion, means that, that maybe we can consider spending less time being upset over what some random white person thinks about us, and not even giving them the power to even make them believe that they even have the ability to even say something that is going to hurt our feelings. Like, you to call me whatever you want, but call me the N-word, call me an asshole, call me inferior. Doesn't matter, because I'm gonna be over here building. I'm over here creating something. I'm over here doing what I'm gonna do, and I'm over here competing with you. So you can think what you want, you can say what you want, but I know that the greater peace of mind comes when I don't have to spend my whole life wondering if you like me and getting mad when I think that you don't, and arguing with you incessantly to the point where I'm exhausted because I can't get you to change your opinion. Stop trying to change what they think about you and start focusing more on changing how you think about yourself. A person who thinks highly of themselves can walk into a room and people can say the worst things about that person, but they're still going to achieve their goal. They're still going to be empowered. They're still going to feel good about themselves, because what you say about them in their mind it can't be true, because they've already defined who they are. So that's why Black people really know who they are. They don't get as offended by racism as Black people who don't know who they are. Black people who don't know who they are, and there's a lot of them, because we're educated by white folks. They train you from birth to believe that what they think of you is what matters. Black people who don't know who they are spend all their time being mad, upset, depressed over racism. Like, well, why can't we be beautiful? They put Black women in the white magazines as if we're not as pretty. And beauty is internal. It starts internal. And maybe, as Black men, we can help out with that. Black women, you on the line right now, y'all beautiful. I ain't never seen a white woman in Hollywood anywhere where I couldn't look at that white woman and think to myself about at least 50 or 60 Black women I've seen who are far prettier than that white woman, right? Like seriously, like some of the white women are, I guess they're okay. I don't know. I don't really experiment like that. But but seriously, like I can watch a Hollywood movie. You can literally show me the prettiest white woman in all of Hollywood, and I can literally be like, oh, I know about 20 Black girls that are far prettier than her, right? And so what matters is what you think of yourself. Stop worrying about the Megyn Kellys and the other people out here, because their opinions of you really don't matter at the end of the day. All right. So as I mentioned to you guys, I did the tour of China, and I basically studied Chinese powernomics. I mentioned that to you guys. I covered several thousand miles in China. I went to 4 different cities. I was there for about 10 or 11 days, covered about 5,000 years of Chinese history. And I did this for a reason. I did this as a research project to understand Chinese powernomics and how this can be applied to Black families. So what I did was I put together a lecture that I called The Return of the Black Dragon, in which I basically explained how you can actually propel your family ahead economically for the next several generations by actually applying some of the principles that the Chinese government has applied to its economy to allow themselves to become the great economic superpower of the earth. Now we used to say, when we talked about the most powerful man in the world, we used to talk about the president of the United States. Now they don't say that anymore. Now the most powerful man in the world is the president of China. I want to say it's Hu Jintao. I think that's his name, or maybe I said it wrong, but something like that. But anyway, the lecture is free. It doesn't cost you a penny. You can come to the lecture. It's Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I just ask you to come with an open mind, come ready to learn, come with you, bring your children. Children are important. I promise you in the lecture, I won't cuss. So some of y'all got children that have never heard a cuss word, then I won't cuss. I don't cuss when I'm really teaching like that. And you can actually sign up and register. Somebody please type in this URL. It's blackdragonfinance.com. That's blackdragonfinance.com. So go register at blackdragonfinance.com for this lecture. It won't cost you anything. And you guys can come in and it will change your life. you'll be a better person. And most importantly, your family will have a foundation of knowledge that you don't get this in school. You don't get this in high school, middle school, elementary school, college. I know college graduates in business who don't have even basic financial literacy. Seriously. So we're actually not just trying to achieve equality with white folks. We're actually going beyond them. We're actually going to have Black families that are going to have income and wealth levels that exceed the average white person. We already have millions of families like that. Actually, we actually have millions of Black people who actually make more money than the average white person. But this is something that's going to actually propel that, and I think accelerate that. And I know this because these are economic models kind of twisted to solve that specific problem of Black economic empowerment. And I know it's going to work. I know it's powerful, and I've seen it in action. So it's blackdragonfinance.com. So please come in. I think you're going to love it. And the really fascinating thing about the Chinese economy that I learned that I thought was really interesting was that that China is a communist country. Most communist countries are not doing well economically. Most communist countries and socialist countries, their whole economy is collapsing. Venezuela is a complete hellhole right now economically. And I argue that the reason these economies fall apart is because they spend so much time on the socialist communist aspect of how you run a country that they're not thinking about economics. They've decided that all capitalist ideas are bad, that all free enterprise is the devil, that all business owners are corrupt, horrible people. And so they run away from all that and they say, oh, we're just going to take over the corporations and give everything away to poor people and just hope for the best. Well, the problem is that you do need somebody in there that's driving the economic engine. Zimbabwe is a country that's really struggling economically. There's a lot of countries like that. So I like China because China basically has taken a lot of the positive elements of communism and they've applied it to capitalism. And that's a little secret that a lot of capitalists don't know, because in America, we're taught capitalism as rugged individualism. Like, oh, you get out here and you just fuck people over and you take all this shit and you treat the workers like garbage and you ruin the environment or whatever, and everything's great. Well, communism kind of gets away from rugged individualism. Communism actually believes in working together. And so what happens is that I believe, again, my theory is that the communist culture of China and the communist politics of China allow them to compete in economics as a team sport. And in any sport, if you have a whole team competing against a bunch of individuals, typically the team's going to have a huge advantage. So I'm going to break all that down. The URL is blackdragonfinance.com. Feel free to check it out and sign up and come in. Bring your kids, bring your family, bring your big mom and them. I need the whole family kind of on the same page, because I'm going to show you how to run your family as if you are the Chinese government. And I thought about this, and I know it's going to work, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm gonna break it down for you. Also, last but not least, if you have not joined our League of Intelligent Black People, these are a group of people that we ask you to help us support the channel. So it's like a small monthly fee, doesn't cost that much, costs you less than a trip to McDonald's, but you're also part of a special group where you get special access, special privileges. You ask questions. When they put questions in there, I specifically answer those questions during the live streams. But in addition to that, we give away free stuff and free films and all kinds of stuff, because we don't do charity. We don't believe in that. But if you'd like to join, go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And I hope you guys will join, because we need more intelligent Black people in the world. We need to fight the ignorance tooth and nail. This is a war. This is a civil war that we're in the middle of, and we're going to win the civil war by being intelligent. So take care, everybody. I'm out. Have a good day, and it was awesome talking to you guys. I'll see you later. Peace.